Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial on Swagger Editor. In this tutorial, we will look through how to build our documentation using our local Swagger Editor and how we can automate it. Remember, in the past tutorial, we've seen editor.swagger.io online, where we write YAML on this part and it converts it to HTML and CSS. Now the question is, this is the only thing that our users need to see. So we need to make it in such a way that once we write our code, it updates Swagger UI. Remember, in the past tutorial, we've installed Swagger UI and we also installed Swagger Editor. Now I would like to open Swagger Editor on my browser. Make sure that your WAMP server is running or whatever server you're using. Then you visit localhost/swaggereditor/doc/editor. This is simply the path to where I installed Swagger Editor on my system. Yours might just be different. And there we are. Swagger Editor expects you to have a folder inside your Swagger Editor. You're supposed to create a new folder and call it API. You must name the folder API. Then inside API, you have to create another folder and name it Swagger. Then inside Swagger, you have to create a file called swagger.yaml. Swagger.yaml. Yes. And then you open the YAML file and start editing. Now Swagger expects you to have a default application or default Swagger YAML code running here. So if we get back to our code, we can copy a default Swagger YAML code. So I would just get to this point. From here, just a minimal YAML code to the top. Click OK. As long as, let me just copy from here to the top. Control, copy. Get back to our code. Paste and save. Then we get back to our Swagger online editor, Swagger localhost editor. As you can see, this is not updating automatically. So what we just pasted in this file is not reflecting on our editor. But what we want to achieve at the end of the day is that as we edit this file, it will be updating our Swagger UI that we have here. We have our Swagger UI here, and our Swagger UI is fetching information from Lumen blog. So what we want to achieve is that we update Swagger editor code, and automatically this Lumen blog.json will be updated to be converted to JSON for us and updated. To achieve that, we need to install something called gulp on our system. So you get to a browser and we search for gulp. It's on GitHub. You can visit github.com/gulpjs/gulp, and if you scroll down, you can read a number of things about gulp and some examples. Gulp is a simple JavaScript task that helps you automate all your tasks. Alright, if there's anything you do often, you can use gulp to automate it. So we're trying to employ the use of gulp to automate our task. Now, click on the documentation for the current release. It will tell us how to install gulp, and then we'll click on getting started. Remember that you can go back and read a whole lot more about gulp. But before then, let us install gulp. We'll open our editor, our command prompt. Right here, I'll hold the shift key. Then I'll right click. This particular menu appears, so I'll click command window, and there we are. So we're going to run npm install global gulp CLI. npm install gulp. That's gulp command line. We hit enter. Then we wait for it to complete the installation. Make sure you have your internet connection on, otherwise this step won't complete. And then the time it takes will depend on the strength of your internet connection. Now while that is installing, let us see something else we should install. Once it's done, we have to add gulp to our application. Now to do that, we have to be inside our editor, because that's where we have our node modules folder. Now I'll right click and open a new window here. So npm install save gulp. That installs adds gulp to your application. So I'll hit enter and then I'll wait. In your own case, you may have to allow this one to complete before you move over to this. For me, I've installed these things before, so that's why I can manage to run two of them at the same time. They have been previously installed in my system. So I'll pause this video. When the installation completes, we can continue. Our installations are complete, and remember, you have to ignore all these warnings and errors. Now we're good to go. So let us open our Swagger editor folder. It opens this folder for us, our Swagger editor folder. We will create a gulp file here. So you must name the file gulp file.js. So we have gulp file.js. It must be named exactly this. And then we can open our gulp file and write a basic gulp task. So what we expect to write in this task is, we want whatever we edit here to instantly appear right here in lumen.json. So I will paste the gulp task that I've written. Now this gulp task simply converts YAML to JSON, and the second task simply watches for changes, so that anytime we change this file is in API swagger.yaml. Every time we change this file, it will automatically be updated with this one. So this gulp task, we named it Swagger, and in this second task we named it watch. So every time this particular file changes, this gulp task will be called, and this gulp task simply converts whatever YAML we wrote here to JSON. Now if you look at the top of the task, at the top of the file, we have gulp. We require JS to YAML. This converts YAML to JS, and vice versa. So what we'll do is to install JS to YAML in our command line. So we'll run the installation right here. npm install save JS YAML. hit enter. Then we wait a little for it to install. Remember that your internet connection must be on and that this might take a few seconds to install. The speed of the installation depends on the strength of your internet network connectivity. Now mine is installed, and of course ignore all these errors. Now JS-YAML installed. Let us see if gulp was installed in our system. So type gulp and this tells us if gulp is installed or not. This message in red means that whenever you run only gulp in your command line, it will look for a task called default to run. In our case, we do not have a task called default. We have two tasks, one called Swagger and one called watch. So what we can do is to run gulp Swagger. And guess what? We have an error. Let us find why. Obviously, we didn't save this, so we have to Control S, saved, and then we get back to our command line and run again. And this time, our task is running. Now that our task is running, our task has run once. What we can do is to run gulp watch, which is what we created here, so that it will continue to run this task every time there is a change. Remember, this particular task simply does the conversion, and this one just listens for changes. So run gulp watch, and as you can see, it's on and it's listening for change. So every time we edit this file, yes, we can reopen it. Every time we edit this file, this other one will be updated. So let's try by opening swagger.yaml, verifying that that's what is here. This is what we have in swagger.yaml. So we can go back and check out Lumen blog. So the Lumen blog is outside this folder. Lumen blog.json, and when we open it, we see that it's exactly the same thing. So let us change this file and see if this one changes too. So we have path, and we add just one more line there, just get. That is the type, and I save. Watch out for this gear icon. When I save, it will disappear. I save on my laptop, Ctrl S, and let us check if this one actually worked. Yes. So we'll scroll down. Guess what? It has converted it to JSON, and there is a get here. If we check our command line, we'll see that yes, it has seen a change and it has updated. Now the next thing for us to check is our Swagger editor. So we head to our browser, and this is our Swagger editor. We have to refresh it. What you can observe is that what we have here is different from what we have here. Now by default, Swagger editor is supposed to pick this file. This file is supposed to be the file inside your API Swagger swagger.yaml. So your Swagger editor expects to see this folder, which means you create it manually, and to access this file. Now this is the file your Swagger editor uses to feed itself on this path. Now the gulp task we wrote was simply to convert this automatically to JSON for our Swagger UI. Now the thing is, Swagger always saves its contents in the cache of your browser, which means sometimes when you make a change, even if you refresh, the change might not show up. So don't open your Swagger editor using your browser like this. Always make sure you open it from your command line. So in our command line, navigate to Swagger editor into your editor folder and type Swagger project edit. As long as you've installed your Swagger editor and you hit enter, it's going to start a server for us, and in that server it will pick our YAML file from the correct folder. So here is it. This is our YAML file, and remember, Swagger will show you any errors if there is any. As you can see, it's telling me cannot read property parameters of null, and if I hit on it, it takes me to this line. So this is obviously a mistake. I will delete them, a mistake in the code. Oops. So drag, oops, seems I can't drag here. So what I'll do is to simply highlight, hold the shift on my keyboard and press the top key, the up cursor key, and delete tags, and also delete this. Okay. Obviously, what is happening here is that when we copied and pasted this code, it's rearranged some of our spaces. So it's just basic corrections that we need to make here. Otherwise, we'll visit editor.swagger.io and copy the default code there, editor.swagger.io. So we copy this default code, copy, then we head back and paste. Then we can change to our Lumen blog API. And it's complaining about this. To save the day, we just have to paste at least a path for it, an endpoint for it, because paths are required. So we hit enter, and I've pasted an endpoint, sample endpoint. So generally, if you see any error, you try and resolve it. And remember that YAML is strictly working with indentation. As you can see, tiny lines here. So once you make a mistake in any of them, it throws up an error. So when you hit on it, it brings you to the line where there is the error. So I'll bring it back. So that's it. Basically, I've taught you YAML and I've walked you through building your own API. What we just did is whatever we're editing here is automatically showing up in our Swagger UI editor. So if we visit our Swagger UI now, localhost, and we go to Swagger UI editor, Swagger UI, Swagger editor doc. So this is where we have our Swagger UI. If we visit it, we'll see that it's automatically updated. So whatever we're doing is getting automatically updated as we do it, because we have written a gulp task that runs it. So thank you very much. In the next tutorial, we will go through the documentation, a summary of the documentation of Swagger, and then a summary of everything we've done. So in case you missed any step, you'll catch it on in the next video tutorial. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel on YouTube.